The great halls of the Galactic Academy were always filled with light, laughter, and the sound of young voices. Alien children from hundreds of worlds trained together, preparing for the most important step of their lives: the bonding. Every year, human cadets were sent to the academy. Each alien child needed to bond with a human. Together, they would form a pair, a living bridge between species. This was not just tradition, it was survival. Without a bond, an alien child would never be accepted into the Galactic Union. Without a bond, they would be cast away, forgotten by history. The hall shined with excitement as groups formed quickly. Tall reptilian children rushed to bond with strong human warriors. Soft, glowing beings reached out to kind-hearted humans, their hands meeting in a spark of connection. Soon, almost every alien child had someone beside them. But in the farthest corner of the hall, one small figure sat alone. She was different. Her body was thin, her skin pale with faint silver scars across her arms. One of her legs was weak, dragging behind when she walked. Her eyes, large, dark, and deep, seemed too heavy for her fragile frame. The alien girl looked like she was carrying a weight no child should bear. The others whispered as they looked at her. "That's her, the broken one. Don't go near her. She is cursed. She failed the early trials. No bond can survive with her." The girl lowered her head, pretending not to hear. But she heard every word. She always did. Day after day, she sat alone while others formed pairs. Her hands stayed on her lap, clenched tight as if she was holding back tears. She knew what would happen if no one chose her. The council would erase her name from the records. She would become nothing, yet still no one came. Some humans looked at her but quickly turned away, afraid of what others would think. No alien child spoke to her either. In a place filled with hope and dreams, she was the shadow no one wanted to notice. The academy leaders did not help. They had already decided her fate. They thought her weakness was dangerous. They said her powers were unstable, her body too broken. It was safer to let her fade away, but the truth was more painful. She was not just weak, she was unwanted. The girl lifted her eyes to the glowing ceiling where the stars shone through a crystal dome. She wished someone, anyone, would see her as more than her scars. For 5 long days, the selection continued. Groups trained, laughing and learning together. Humans and aliens stood side by side, testing their growing bonds. Energy flashed in the air as pairs shared strength, thoughts, and feelings. The academy celebrated each success, and still, the girl sat alone. Every evening, she returned to her small dorm room at the edge of the academy. The room was cold and silent. No roommate. No laughter, just the echo of her own breathing. Sometimes she touched the window, whispering to the stars. "Please don't let me disappear." On the 6th day, a final ceremony was called. It was the last chance. The great bell rang, shaking the walls with a deep tone. All humans and aliens gathered in the grand hall once more. The girl walked slowly to her corner seat, dragging her weak leg, her eyes heavy. She knew this was the end. No one would come. She would soon be erased. But then, something strange happened. As the pairs stood proudly in the center, one human cadet walked in late. His uniform was new, his steps unsure. He looked around, searching for a partner. The crowd expected him to join one of the stronger alien children, but his eyes stopped at the corner. At the small, fragile girl no one wanted. The hall grew silent. Everyone stared as the human walked toward her. The girl looked up, confused. No one had ever approached her before. Her hands trembled. The human stopped in front of her chair. He looked at her scars, her weak leg, her tired eyes, but unlike the others, he did not turn away. Instead, he smiled. "Are you alone?" he asked gently. The girl blinked, unsure how to answer. Her lips parted, but no words came out. The crowd began to whisper louder. "Is he serious? He doesn't know what she is. He'll destroy his future." But the human ignored them all. He bent down slightly, extending his hand to her. "My name is Arik," he said. "Would you like to bond with me?" The hall froze. Every teacher, every child, every leader stared in shock. The alien girl's heart pounded. Her eyes filled with tears. For the first time in her life, someone was not turning away, her hand lifted, shaking, uncertain. And in that fragile moment between rejection and hope, the story of an outcast began to change. The grand hall of the academy grew restless. Whispers rolled through the crowd like waves. No one had expected the human cadet to walk toward the outcast girl. No one had thought anyone would dare. The alien girl, small and trembling, stared at the hand stretched before her. It was warm, steady, real. For so long she had only dreamed of such a moment, but her heart also filled with fear. If she accepted, his future could be ruined. If she refused, her own life would end in silence. The teachers exchanged uneasy glances. Some frowned, others whispered among themselves. Finally, the High Elder of the Academy stepped forward. His robe shimmered with symbols of 1,000 worlds, his voice echoing with command. "Do you understand what you are doing, human?" the Elder asked. The young cadet Arik lifted his head. His eyes did not waver. "Yes," he said firmly. "I am offering her a bond." The words struck the hall like thunder. The Elder narrowed his eyes. "You speak as if it is a choice. Do you know the law? Do you know the price?" The cadet nodded, though a flicker of doubt crossed his face. He had read about the law of bonding during his training, but hearing it now in front of everyone made it heavier. The law was simple. Each alien child could only bond once. Each human, too, had only one chance. A bond was not a friendship, not just a promise. It was a merging of spirit, mind, and strength. Once formed, it could not be undone. If the bond failed, both would suffer. If one died, the other would feel the tearing pain forever. That was why no one dared to bond with the girl. She was seen as weak, broken, cursed. If her body failed, the human partner would be dragged down with her. If her unstable powers erupted, the bond might destroy both. The Elder's voice grew sharp. "Human, if you bind yourself to this child, you may share her fate. Do you still choose this path?" Arik's hand did not lower. "Yes," he said again, more firmly. The crowd gasped. Some laughed, others shook their heads. "He is a fool," they muttered. "He does not understand." The alien girl looked at him with wide, wet eyes. She whispered so softly only he could hear. "Why me? Everyone says I will break the bond. Everyone says I am dangerous." Arik leaned closer. His voice was calm, steady. "Because no one deserves to be left alone." Those words sank into her heart like sunlight after endless darkness. The Elder sighed, shaking his head. "Very well. Then you must prove it." He raised his staff, striking it against the floor. The sound echoed through the hall. "According to the law of bonding, every pair must complete the trial. If you succeed, your bond is accepted. If you fail, you are cast out together." The hall erupted with noise. Some cheered, waiting to see the pair fail. Others whispered nervously, wondering what would happen. The girl's hands shook, her scars glowing faintly under her skin. She whispered again, her voice breaking. "You don't know what I am. If you tie yourself to me, you may regret it." But Arik only smiled, steady and fearless. "Then we will regret it together." The trial was announced for the next morning. The academy buzzed with excitement. For years, the girl had been invisible, unwanted. Now she was at the center of the storm. Every eye would watch her. Every voice would wait for her to fail. That night, the alien girl sat in her small room. For once, she was not alone. Arik sat across from her, polishing the silver badge on his chest. "You are not afraid?" she asked quietly. He looked at her, then at the stars outside the window. "Of course I'm afraid. But fear is not the same as giving up." The girl hugged her knees, her voice trembling. "If the bond fails, you will suffer. If my powers break free, you will be hurt. Why risk everything for me?" Arik paused. Then he said, "Because everyone deserves someone to believe in them. And if no one else will, I will." Her chest ached with a feeling she had never known. Hope. For so long she had believed the whispers, the cruel names, the silence. But now someone had given her a reason to stand. The next day arrived. The trial began. The great arena opened, a circle of stone under the sky. Pairs of alien and human stood together, glowing with energy from their bonds. Teachers and elders sat in the high seats watching carefully. When Arik and the girl entered, the crowd went silent. Some laughed, others jeered. But the pair kept walking. At the center of the arena, they stopped. The elder's voice boomed. "Let the trial begin." The ground trembled. The walls shook. From the shadows, a giant training beast stepped forward. It was made of energy and steel, a creature built to test strength and unity. Its eyes burned bright as it roared. Other pairs would fight easier trials. But for them, for the broken bond, the academy had chosen the hardest. The alien girl froze, terror filling her body. Her legs shook. She could not move. Arik reached for her hand. "Together," he whispered. The beast charged. And in that moment, when fear met courage, something inside the girl began to stir. The beast roared again, shaking the walls of the arena. Dust fell from the high stones as the crowd gasped. Arik stood tall, his hand still gripping the alien girl's. She trembled, her fragile body weak against the monster's strength. Her eyes darted, searching for escape. She knew she couldn't win. Not her. Not with her broken body. The crowd shouted from the stands. "Run, human. Save yourself before she drags you down. Break the bond now while you can. Do not waste your chance." But Arik did not move away. Instead, he stepped forward, putting himself between the girl and the beast. "Stay with me," he whispered. The alien girl shook her head, her voice breaking. "You don't understand. If I lose control, you'll be destroyed too." Arik looked back at her, his eyes calm and steady. "Then if we are destroyed, we will be destroyed together. But I will not leave you." The beast lunged. Its claws scraped the stone, sparks flying. Arik pulled the girl aside just in time, the ground cracking where they had stood. The audience gasped, some laughing, some screaming for them to give up. But the girl felt something strange. Her chest burned, not with pain, but with heat, like a light waking inside her. Her scars glowed faintly, silver lines across her arms. She clenched her fists, shaking. "No, I don't want him to suffer because of me." Her body moved on instinct. For the first time, her weak legs carried her forward, pushing against the ground with sudden strength. Energy burst from her hand in a wave of light, striking the beast's chest. The arena shook. The beast staggered back, roaring in anger. The crowd fell silent. No one had expected that. Arik stared at her in shock, but his lips curved into a smile. "See? You are not broken." The girl's chest heaved, fear and wonder mixing in her eyes. That wasn't me. That was the bond. With you." The elder raised his staff, halting the fight. The beast disappeared in a flash of light, returning to the shadows. The arena filled with whispers. Some shouted in anger, others in disbelief. The elders spoke among themselves, their voices low and tense. Finally, the elder turned to the pair. His expression was unreadable. "You survived the trial. For now, your bond will remain. But be warned, the power she holds is unstable. If it breaks free again, you may not control it." Arik bowed his head. "We will learn." The alien girl lowered her gaze, her hands trembling. She could still feel the energy inside her, wild and dangerous. But for the first time, someone stood beside her instead of turning away. That night, training began. The academy assigned each bonded pair a practice chamber, while other pairs trained with joy. Laughing as they discovered new skills, Arik and the girl entered a silent, cold room. The air was heavy with doubt. She sat in the corner, her arms wrapped around her knees. Arik stood across from her, waiting. "Why don't you trust yourself?" he asked gently. Her eyes glistened. "Because I know what I am. My powers, they hurt people. My leg, my scars, they are reminders. Everyone says I am cursed." Arik knelt beside her. "Everyone can be wrong." She looked at him sharply. "And if they're not? What if I destroy you? What if the bond pulls you into my chaos?" Arik thought for a long moment. Then he placed his hand over his chest. "Then I will take that risk, because I believe in what I saw today. You are not weak. You are stronger than you know." The girl's heart pounded. No one had ever said such words to her before. The next morning, they began real training. At first, nothing worked. When Arik tried to link his thoughts with hers, she blocked him out, too afraid to let him in. When she tried to summon her energy, it fizzled, her body too weak. The instructors shook their heads, certain the bond would fail. But Arik never gave up. He encouraged her each time she fell. He stood by her when others mocked them. Slowly, the walls she had built around her heart began to crack. One day, as they trained, the girl closed her eyes. She finally let the bond open. For a moment, she felt Arik's thoughts, steady, calm, unafraid. She felt his belief in her, warm like fire. Her chest filled with light, energy surged through her body, brighter and stronger than before. She lifted her weak leg without pain, her scars glowing like stars. With a cry, she sent a wave of light across the room, splitting the training dummy in half. Arik laughed, amazed. "You did it!" She fell to her knees, gasping. Tears ran down her face, but for the first time they were not from sadness. They were from hope. But in the shadows, the instructors watched with fear. They whispered to the elders, "Her power is growing too quickly." If it continues, she could become unstoppable. She is dangerous. We must end this bond before it is too late. The girl did not hear their whispers. She only heard Arik's voice, steady and kind. Together we can do anything. And deep inside, though she still feared herself, a seed of belief began to grow. The days at the Galactic Academy grew longer for Arik and the alien girl. While other pairs laughed during their training, their bond glowing steady and balanced, Arik and the girl struggled each step. She was too cautious, too afraid of herself. Her powers came in flashes, wild, bright, and impossible to control. When she held them back, nothing happened. When she released them, they surged like storms, cracking walls, shattering training dummies, even frightening the instructors. Her scars glowed whenever the power awoke. Lines of silver fire spread across her arms, crawling up her neck, burning like stars under her skin. The whispers in the academy grew louder. She is dangerous. She should not be allowed to train. She will destroy him and maybe all of us. The girl heard every word. Each whisper pressed against her heart like a blade. She wanted to stop. She wanted to disappear before she hurt anyone. But Arik never stepped back. He stood beside her every day, his voice calm, his eyes steady. "Don't hide from it," he told her. "Your power is not the enemy. Fear is," she wanted to believe him. But deep inside, she feared he was wrong. One night, training was different. The academy gathered all pairs in the great arena for a demonstration. Elders wanted to see progress, to judge which pairs were strong and which bonds were weak. One by one, pairs entered the ring. They showed strength, speed, and teamwork. The crowd clapped and cheered. Finally, it was Arik and the girl's turn. The hall grew tense. Many leaned forward, eager to see them fail. The girl's body trembled as she walked into the center of the arena. She could feel hundreds of eyes staring, waiting, judging. Her scars began to glow faintly, betraying her fear. Arik stepped close and whispered, "Don't look at them. Look at me." Her breath caught. Slowly, she lifted her eyes to his. In his gaze, there was no fear, no doubt, only belief. The elder gave the command. "Begin." A set of training drones appeared, glowing with sharp energy blades. They circled fast, attacking from all sides. The girl panicked. She stumbled backward, her weak leg dragging. A drone slashed close, almost hitting her shoulder. Arik blocked with his weapon, sparks flying. "Stay with me," he shouted. The girl's chest burned. Her scars flared brighter. Energy rushed to her hands, begging to be released. She clenched her fists, terrified. If she let go, she might destroy everything. But then she heard Arik's voice again, steady, unbroken. "Trust me. Trust yourself." The words struck deep. Something inside her cracked, like a locked door opening for the first time. Her eyes widened as light burst from her chest. The arena shook as silver flames erupted across her body, wrapping her in glowing armor made of pure energy. The drones attacked, but the light obeyed her. It bent around her like a shield, protecting her and Arik. When she moved her hand, the flames struck like a blade, cutting through the drones as if they were paper. The crowd gasped. The instructors stood in shock. No alien had ever shown such power. Arik stood beside her, shielding her when her energy wavered, guiding her with his calm presence. Together they moved as one. His courage steadied her chaos. Her power strengthened his body. In minutes, the drones were gone, burned into ash by the silver fire. The arena fell silent. The girl's flames flickered, then dimmed. She collapsed to her knees, gasping for air, her body trembling. Arik caught her before she hit the ground. The elder stood slowly, his face pale. His voice shook with fear. "This is not normal. This is not safe," the instructors whispered in panic. "She has too much power. If she loses control, the bond will destroy him." She could break the laws of the Union itself, but the crowd, the young cadets, the bonded pairs, they saw something different. They saw a fragile girl no one had wanted, standing in the center of the arena, glowing brighter than anyone else. For the first time, whispers rose not of fear, but of awe. She might be the strongest of us. How can such a broken body hold so much power? Maybe the bond makes her whole. The girl looked up at Arik, tears shining in her eyes. I didn't mean to. I couldn't stop it. Arik smiled, holding her steady. You don't need to stop it. You just need to learn how to guide it. And I'll help you. Her chest tightened, her heart beating wildly. No one had ever spoken to her like that. No one had ever stayed when she lost control. For the first time in her life, she felt something stronger than fear. Hope. But in the shadows above the arena, the council watched. Their eyes were grim, their voices sharp. She is too powerful. She was meant to fade, not rise. If her bond continues, she could challenge the laws themselves. One council member leaned forward, his voice low and cold. Then we must decide soon. Either break the bond, or erase them both. The council chambers were cold and silent. Shadows stretched across the tall stone walls where the galaxy's banners hung, each one representing a world in the Union. The elders sat in a circle, their faces grim. They had seen the alien girl's power during training. Too much power. Power that should not exist inside a frail, broken body. She cannot be allowed to continue, one elder hissed. Her energy is unstable. It will destroy us all. Another leaned forward. Yet she survived the trial once. If we erase her now, the Union will question our fairness. Then we test her again, the High Elder said, his voice like iron. One final trial. If she and her humans survive, their bond remains. If they fail, both are erased. The chamber agreed. The decision was made. The next morning, the summons came. Arik and the girl stood at the gates of the great arena once more. The crowd gathered louder than ever. Rumors had spread about her scars glowing with fire, about her power that no one could stop. Some came to see a miracle. Others came to see a disaster. The girl's heart pounded as she clutched her trembling hands. Her voice was weak. They want me to fail, Arik. They want me gone. Arik placed his hand gently on her shoulder. His eyes burned with steady fire. Then let's give them something they don't expect. The gates opened, but this time there were no drones. No simple tests. Instead, the ground shook. A giant beast stepped out, larger than any creature the Academy had ever unleashed. Its body was plated with living steel, its breath glowing with molten fire. Its roar made the very stones tremble. The crowd gasped. Even other elders frowned in shock. This is too much, one whispered. But the High Elder did not move. He wanted to see them break. The girl froze, terror spreading through her chest. She could feel the beast's energy pressing against her own, wild and violent. Her scars flared with pain. Arik stepped forward, pulling her close. Look at me, he said. She turned, her eyes wide and wet. We are not here to fight alone, he whispered. We fight together. Her breath shook, but she nodded. The beast charged. Arik moved first, pulling her aside just as the creature's claw slammed into the ground, leaving a crater. Dust and fire burst upward. The girl coughed, stumbling. Her body felt weak, her leg heavy. But Arik's hand was there, steadying her. Trust the bond, he said. Let it guide us. The girl closed her eyes. She opened the bond fully this time, not holding back, and then something extraordinary happened. She felt his heartbeat inside her chest. She felt his courage rushing into her veins, and he in turn felt her power flowing into him, bright, burning, endless. When the beast roared again, they moved as one. Arik's body grew faster, stronger, glowing faintly with silver light. The girl's frail limbs steadied, her scars blazing like stars. Together they leapt aside as the beast struck again and the ground cracked beneath its weight. The crowd watched in awe. For the first time, the broken girl did not stumble. She stood tall, her flames bending like wings around her body. Arik raised his hand. Now! The girl unleashed her power. A silver storm burst from her chest, wrapping around the beast. Its steel armor cracked under the force. The creature roared, but the bond held. The power did not spiral out of control as before. Arik's calm steadied her, guiding the flood of energy. The beast staggered back, its body burning. But it did not fall. It roared again and lunged. This time its claw struck Arik's side, throwing him across the arena. The crowd screamed. The girl's eyes widened. Arik! Her heart broke as she saw him struggle to stand. Pain echoed through the bond, sharp and burning. Tears filled her eyes. She felt his suffering inside her chest, tearing her apart. The beast turned toward him, ready to strike again. No! She screamed, her body erupted in light. The silver flames wrapped around her like a storm, brighter than the sun. She leapt forward with strength she never knew she had, placing herself between Arik and the beast. The creature's claw came down, only to meet her blazing shield. The ground shook. The shield held. The crowd gasped. The girl screamed as energy rushed through her. nearly breaking her body. But Arik's voice reached her through the bond. Weak but steady, he whispered, "You're not alone. I'm still with you." Her tears fell, mixing with the glow of her scars. She gathered all her strength, all her fear, all her hope, and unleashed it. The storm exploded outward. The beast was lifted off the ground, its body shattering under the force. With one final roar, it collapsed into nothing but ash and broken steel. The arena fell silent. The girl collapsed to her knees, her flames fading. Arik dragged himself up, limping but smiling. He reached her, placing his hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he whispered. She looked at him, trembling. "No, we did it." The crowd erupted. Some cheered, others shouted in fear. The elders sat frozen, their faces pale. The High Elder clenched his staff, his voice low. "This is not just a bond. This is something greater. If left unchecked, they could challenge the law itself." But in the arena, as Arik helped the girl stand, the people were not thinking of laws. They were thinking of the impossible sight they had just witnessed. An outcast, unwanted child rising higher than all others, because one human chose not to abandon her. And though the council whispered of danger, the people whispered of hope. The arena was still shaking from the storm of silver light. Dust hung in the air like a fog. The beast was gone. Nothing left but broken stone and silence. Arik stood beside the girl, steadying her trembling body. Her scars glowed faintly, flickering like dying embers. She could barely stand, yet her eyes shone with something new. Pride. The crowd was torn between awe and fear. Some cheered loudly, chanting her name. Others whispered in panic, pointing at the scorch marks across the arena floor. The High Elder rose from his seat, striking his staff on the ground. The noise cut through the hall, silencing the crowd. His eyes burned as he looked down at the fragile girl standing with her human bond. "This must end," he declared. "The truth cannot remain hidden any longer." The words fell heavy across the arena. Arik's heart tensed. The girl's eyes widened. "What truth?" The elders gathered in a circle. Their voices echoed cold and sharp. "She is no ordinary child," one said. "She carries blood that was never meant to survive," another added. "She was born with a power that destroys worlds," the High Elder finished. The arena erupted in shocked gasps. The girl froze, her chest tightening. Her voice came out small and broken. What do you mean?" The High Elder turned his gaze on her, his eyes filled with judgment. "You were not abandoned because of your weakness. You were abandoned because of what you are. You are a remnant." Whispers spread like fire through the crowd. "A remnant? Impossible. They were all destroyed centuries ago. How could one survive?" The girl's legs shook. She had heard the word before, whispered in the dark, but never explained. What is a remnant?" she whispered. The High Elder's voice carried across the arena. "Long ago there was a war that nearly ended the galaxy. The remnants were a race born with unstable power strong enough to tear the stars themselves apart. The Union destroyed them to save all life. We believed them extinct. Until you were born." The girl's hands trembled. Her scars burned as if they carried the memory of that war. "But I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this power. Power does not care what you want," the Elder said coldly. "Your existence is a threat. That is why no one dared to bond with you. That is why we meant for you to fade away." The truth struck her harder than any beast. She had always believed she was unwanted because she was weak, because her body was broken. But now she knew. She was feared not for her weakness but for her strength. Tears filled her eyes. "You were going to let me disappear because of what I was born as." The Elder's face was hard as stone. "It was mercy. If your power grows uncontrolled, you will bring only death." Arik stepped forward, his voice cutting through the silence. "No, she brings life. You saw it yourselves. Her power did not destroy me. It saved me. It saved all of us." The High Elder turned his gaze on him. "You do not understand. The bond is only delaying the inevitable. When her power breaks free again, not even you will survive." Arik clenched his fists, his voice sharp. "You are wrong. She is not a weapon. She is not a curse. She is a person. And I choose to stand with her." The crowd stirred. Some cheered his courage. Others shouted in anger. The arena split, half filled with hope, half with fear. That night, the council summoned them to the chamber. The girl sat in silence, her head lowered, her heart broken by the truth. She whispered, "I should not exist. If I disappear, everyone will be safe. Arik knelt in front of her, forcing her to look into his eyes. Listen to me. You are not the war that came before. You are not the mistakes of the past. You are you, and you are not alone, her tears fell. But the Council, they will erase us. Arik's eyes burned with fire. Then we fight not just for survival, we fight for the right to exist. The next day, the Council stood before the Academy and declared their judgment. The bond is unnatural. It will not be allowed to continue. Tomorrow, the girl and her human will face their final test. If they succeed, they will be accepted. If they fail, they will be erased together. The crowd erupted with shouts. Some begged for mercy, others demanded their destruction. The girl's body trembled, but Arik stood tall, his voice clear and unbroken. Then we will face your test, and we will prove that even the smallest outcast can change the fate of the galaxy. The Council looked down on them, their faces grim. In their hearts, they believed the girl was a danger that must be destroyed. But in the hearts of those watching, a question began to grow. What if the human was right? What if this unwanted, broken child was not a curse, but a miracle? The night before the final test, the Academy was silent. Stars burned above the crystal dome, but inside the halls, whispers of fear moved like shadows. Some students prayed for the girl and her human. Others prayed they would fall, afraid of what her power meant. In her small dorm room, the alien girl sat on the floor, hugging her knees. Her scars glowed faintly as if the light inside her wanted to break free. She whispered, her voice trembling, "Tomorrow, they will erase us." Arik sat beside her, polishing his blade, though he knew it would not save them. His eyes were calm, steady as always. "No," he said softly. "Tomorrow we prove them wrong." She turned to him, tears glistening in her eyes. "I am a remnant. The Council is right. I was never meant to exist." Arik shook his head. He took her hand in his. "You exist. That is enough. And you matter more than they will ever admit. They fear you because they cannot control you. But I do not fear you. I trust you," her heart pounded. The bond between them pulsed brighter, as if answering his words. For the first time, she dared to whisper, "Then tomorrow I will not fight for myself. I will fight for us." The next day, the arena was filled beyond capacity. Humans, aliens, cadets, and even leaders from other worlds gathered to witness what they believed would be the end of the outcast girl and her human bond. The High Elder's voice thundered as he raised his staff. "This is the final judgment. If they survive, they are accepted. If they fail, they are erased forever." The gates opened. From the shadows, a monstrous figure stepped forward, far larger than any beast they had faced before. It was not made of flesh or steel. It was pure energy, shaped like a serpent of light and shadow, created by the Council itself. Its roar shook the walls, and its body coiled with the force of a star. The crowd gasped in horror. Many realized the truth. This was no test. This was an execution. The girl's body trembled, her scars blazing with fire. The serpent's presence pressed against her chest, threatening to tear her apart. She whispered, "We cannot win against that." Arik squeezed her hand. His voice was steady, fearless. "We don't need to win alone. We win together." The serpent struck. Its body crashed against the ground, sending shockwaves through the arena. Arik pulled her aside, but the force still knocked them down. She coughed, struggling to rise. "It's too strong." Arik knelt beside her, his hand gripping hers. "Listen to me. This is not about strength. It's about trust. Open the bond fully. Let me in. Don't hold back." Her eyes widened. She had never opened the bond completely. She was terrified of what might happen if her power poured out without control, but Arik's eyes were calm, unwavering. Slowly, she nodded. She closed her eyes, and the bond shattered its last wall. A surge of light burst through them both. Arik's body glowed with silver fire, his blade shining brighter than the stars. The girl's frail body lifted, her scars burning like constellations. Together, they were no longer separate. They were one. The serpent roared and struck again, but the silver storm wrapped around them, shielding them from its energy. When Arik swung his blade, the girl's power poured into it, striking the serpent with a wave of fire. The arena shook. The serpent reeled back, roaring in rage. The Council watched in shock. "Impossible," the High Elder whispered.
"No bond should be able to hold such power." The serpent attacked again, faster, harder.
But each time, Arik and the girl moved as one. His courage guided her chaos. Her power strengthened his body. Together they matched the impossible. The final blow came when the serpent reared back, gathering all its energy into one strike. The air burned, the ground cracked. If it landed, the entire arena would be destroyed. Arik gripped her hand tightly. Now, all of it. Together. The girl's tears streamed down her face. She screamed, pouring every ounce of her fear, pain, and hope into the bond. Her body burned with silver flames, wings of light spreading wide. Arik raised his blade, their powers merging. The serpent struck. So did they. The arena exploded in light. When the dust cleared, the serpent was gone. Nothing remained but ashes and silence. The girl collapsed, her body trembling. Arik caught her, holding her close. The crowd was silent, stunned, breathless. Then slowly voices rose. Not whispers of fear, but shouts of awe. They did it. They defeated the impossible. The bond is real. The High Elder's staff shook in his hand. His voice was weak. This changes everything. Arik stood tall, lifting the girl with him. His voice carried across the arena. She is not a curse. She is not a monster. She is my partner. And together we are stronger than fear, stronger than laws. If this bond is wrong, then the law itself must change. The crowd roared. Cheers rose louder than ever before, shaking the arena. Students, cadets, even some elders stood in defiance of the council. The girl clung to Arik, her tears falling freely. For the first time, they were not tears of pain. They were tears of belonging. In the days that followed, the council could no longer deny the truth. The bond that was never meant to exist had become a symbol of hope. Across the galaxy, outcasts and the unwanted were seen with new eyes. The alien girl, once doomed to be erased, was now remembered as the one who proved that even the smallest, weakest child could hold the power of stars if someone believed in them. And beside her, the human who chose her when no one else would become her unbreakable partner. Together they rewrote destiny.